Hey everybody, how's it going? Welcome to the No DQ live recap of Friday Night Smackdown for August the 21st, 2020. Tonight was not just any other edition of Smackdown. Tonight was the premiere of WWE ThunderDome. WWE taping the show live in Orlando, Florida at the Amway Center, calling it the ThunderDome with pyro, the full stage, virtual fans. How did it turn out? Let's go ahead and break it down. We went straight into the building. We had thunder on the screens and lightning. We had pyro going off. We had the music, and then we cut to the ring. Vince McMahon, the chairman, standing in the ring, and then behind him we saw the virtual fans in attendance, the 1,000 or so people that signed up to be part of the viewing experience. Before Vince could really say anything, we had The Fiend interrupt the festivities, and during the Fiend's entrance, we had the fans turned off from the LED screens, and it was pretty spectacular. One of the positives about the setup here was the Fiend's entrance looked really badass. It looked like something out of WrestleMania. You had tons of lights, laser lights, and effects all over the building, on the ceiling, pretty much everywhere you could think of. It looked really spectacular. Fiend came into the ring, had a stare down with Vince for a few seconds, and then Braun Strowman's music hit. Strowman came down to the ring, and he had a face-off with The Fiend. Vince wisely took his leave. Now, shortly after Vince left, Retribution showed up. Why not show up when Vince is in the ring and send a real message? But anyways, Retribution, Aces and Eights 2.0 showed up. They surrounded the ring. Now there's like 20 guys in Retribution. Then before they could get into the ring, The Fiend, he waved bye to Braun Strowman. The lights went down and he disappeared. The Fiend was gone, leaving Strowman all by himself. The 15 or 20 members of Aces and Eights 2.0 beat down Braun Strowman, and then the locker room ran down. The babyfaces came out and attacked Retribution, eventually running them out of the ring. Retribution fled the scene. And then, of course, Miz ran down at the very end after Retribution had already bailed. Strowman was very upset, and he ended up attacking Drew Gulak and Jey Uso before storming off in anger. Josh Mansfield with a $2 super chat, first one of the evening. He says, looked great, ready for Thunderdome and SummerSlam. And Stan Grubb in the chat room thinks maybe Miz is the leader, and that's why he keeps taking his time to make the save. Opening segment was interesting, but Retribution already running away makes them look a little weak in my opinion. It reminded me of when the Alliance, WCW and ECW, would come out there, and then when there was a fair fight, they would take off. Remember the NWO? They beat up everybody. Hogan, Hall, Nash, the Giant, Six-Pac, like they beat up 15, 20 guys, and that's why the NWO got over. Why did the Shield get over? Because they beat everybody. They never got ran off by a bunch of people. But I remember the NWO would beat up the Horsemen in the Dungeon of Doom when it was like 4 against 12 people. And that's why the NWO got over, just saying. But of course, I don't think WWE is going to have a bunch of guys in masks beating up the established superstars. We had our first match of the evening, which was Sheamus versus Big E. The locker room stayed out there for the match. They were surrounding the ring to make sure that Retribution did not return. Psycho Jet Black with a $2 super chat says, what if the leader of Retribution is Lars Sullivan? I'm guessing people would not be very excited about Lars Sullivan being the man behind Retribution. It could happen. I mean, anything's possible, but I don't think that that would be the ideal revelation. TJS, fellow No DQ panel member with a $2 super chat, thank you for that, says, maybe I'm crazy, but I heard almost zero crowd noise. We'll talk about that here in a second, TJS. Member Berries with a $2 super chat says, remember when Invading Group would dominate? I remember for sure, way back in the day. It's been a while. And Can Terminated by DQ with a $5 super chat says, can you imagine the Freebirds running away from the Von Erichs? I could see Doc Hendricks run away. And no, Michael Hayes' character is not similar. Well, thank you for that. I appreciate the comment. And Mike B with a $2 super chat says, Aaron is the real leader of Retribution. I would not attach my name to anything so pathetic. Like if I was running Retribution, we'd be throwing 2 bricks through the same window for sure. That's how lame we would be. I'm not even going to lie about it. Charles Coleman with a $5 super chat says, the TV 14 rating from last week's Smackdown was Retribution. This week it was back to PG, TV PG. I wonder if maybe because of the Alexa Bliss angle, they went TV 14 for just 1 week. It's quite possible. Tony H with a $2 super chat says, this Thunderdome arena hype will last a week max. I'm going to talk about it in just a second here. Thank you, Tony H. And Josh Mansfield with a $2 super chat says, Retribution ain't no Nexus. Well, at least Nexus had a couple of months of a good run before they pretty much fizzled out. We'll see if Retribution can even last that long. I mean, some would argue that Retribution hasn't even gotten as hot as Nexus, and I would certainly argue that. Thank you guys for all your super chats. I appreciate it. I'm caught up now. During the match, the lights were flickering, but beyond that, there was no more Retribution on this show. After the commercial break, Sheamus was in control. He hit the white noise, and then King Corbin attacked Matt Riddle on the outside of the ring. Riddle went after Corbin. The Lumberjacks, I guess, for this match were trying to separate the two. Sheamus got distracted, and Big E with the fruit roll-up pinned Sheamus. It's the roll-up finish, but at least it was the heel getting distracted and not the babyface, so not going to complain. Now, let's talk about the fans, the virtual fans, since people have been bringing it up in the chat room, and this was our first actual match on the show. And Ken Terminated by DQ, still on the topic from earlier, says, even though Ric Flair begs on his knees for his young adversaries, have the Horsemen acted like cowards? I don't recall. Have you, Rift? Not to my knowledge. I mean, they might have fled from Hulk Hogan and Randy Savage on Nitro. I mean, that probably happened a couple of times. But anyways, let's talk about the fans. I thought the presentation with the lighting and the effects, that was all great. That was a huge improvement from the Performance Center. The crowd, here's the problem. They really added nothing to the show. The noise was really non-existent. There was a track of audio with crowd noise, but it never really changed during the show except for times where WWE would pipe in boos or cheers. But for the most part, it was just a generic crowd track for the entire show. And the people watching, they were not reacting to what was going on in the ring. I'm guessing there was a delay and it wasn't in real time. And to me, that that just eliminates the purpose of having virtual fans. Like, if they're not going to react in real time to what's going on, then what's the point? Visually, it looked kind of cool, but at the same time, I was distracted. Like, I kept looking at the people in the audience instead of what was going on in the ring. And I think it's just too bright, the LED screens. I think maybe what WWE should do is dim the LED screens with the fans a little bit. Maybe 15, 20%, 25%. And I think WWE should bring back the PC trainees to actually do real-time reactions to what's going on. Maybe not bring back the plexiglass with the banging, but bring back the PC trainees and just have a mix of the trainees making the real noise in real time, and then you have the fans on the screen watching it. I mean, quite frankly, WWE could just use pre-recorded footage of fans on the screen, and it would be the same thing. It makes no difference. Like, why even risk somebody flashing or whatnot? Just use the footage you already have for the shows moving forward. I mean, it doesn't really work for me in the sense of, like, I want to hear the real-time reactions of the audience. Psycho Jet Black with a $2 super chat. Thank you for that. Says, some fan will expose themselves eventually on TV. Did not happen on this show. I did see a few rules being broken, though. Like, some people were not even in the frame at times, and I did see 3 people in one frame, which is against the policy. It's only supposed to be one person in the frame. And then there was one guy standing up, and you could see his jeans, and I was like, oh no, is this guy gonna flash his junk on live television? But again, I think it was delayed, and if somebody attempted to do that, it would not have made the broadcast. Name Restricted with a $5 super chat. Thank you for that. Says, I will return this Sunday at the No DQ Live SummerSlam results, and it will be the end of the world as you know it. All right, well, thanks for that ominous comment there, Name Restricted. And Charles Coleman with a $5 super chat. Thank you for that. I appreciate it. He says, I think it's better than how the NBA is doing it just because they have the actual rows. Looks like there's actually people in the arena at first glance. Yeah, I do like that aspect of it with the rows. I think that looks kind of cool. I mean, visually, I like how it looks. I just think it's too much of a distraction, and it defeats the purpose of having fans when they're not reacting to what's going on. You just see a bunch of screens, and, you know, the people are there, like, just with their stoic faces, and occasionally you saw somebody, like, doing a thumbs down or a thumbs up, but not a lot. It was just people, like, you know, just stoic reactions, and I think a couple of people were laying in their bed and maybe falling asleep. So, yeah, I think that it could have been done better, but WWE might not have the technology, nor do they want to take a risk of somebody doing something bad on camera. Also, I saw a teddy bear. There was a teddy bear shown in the front row at one point. That was pretty funny. All right, so let's move on here. We had Jeff Hardy being checked out backstage by a doctor, and when the replay was shown of the Retribution segment, it was revealed that AJ Styles had attacked Jeff Hardy's knee during the chaos, and that was the reason why Jeff Hardy was hurt. And it was touch and go if Jeff Hardy was going to be able to make the match. AJ cut a backstage promo saying it's a shame Jeff cannot compete. It looks like tonight Jeff Hardy's not going to be standing on his own 2 feet. And then AJ ran into Bayley and Sasha. Bayley and Sasha have not missed a Smackdown since the pandemic began. They must have the best record, the best WWE attendance record that I can think of for anybody in a long time. Like, every show since March 13th, they have been on TV every single week. Not missing one show. Got to say they're workhorses, that's for sure. And Psycho Jet Black with a $2 super chat says, Aaron, how would you have reacted if you were in the crowd? Well, I have no interest in doing the virtual show as it is. So, I mean, if I did sign in and try it out, I'd probably just be on the computer doing other things. So I would not really pay attention to it. I can't get into it. I can't. For some people, it sounds exciting, the prospect of getting on TV, but I don't know. Not my thing. Christian with a $3 super chat says, quite shocked about Renee Young announcing her departure. I'm not really shocked. We did talk about this last night on the NXT TakeOver Predictions live stream at the end of the video, if you guys are curious for our thoughts on that. Joe Schmo with a $5 super chat. Thank you, Joe Schmo. I appreciate it. He says, I think that the fans are watching it like they're watching it on TV and they forget that they're fans. Solid point there, Joe. I think you're onto something with that comment. It did feel like they're just sitting in a computer watching something, but they're multitasking, doing other things. Maybe somebody was beating off and we just couldn't see it. Who knows? We had our next match, which was, I think, for the Smackdown Tag Team titles. Cesaro and Shinsuke Nakamura. Cesaro, I'm just going to call him Cesaro, versus the Lucha House Party. Actually, I think I called Sheamus and Cesaro, but they're Cesaro 2.0. Cesaro 2.0 against Lucha House Party. And during the match, Miz and Morrison cut a picture-in-picture promo. And they made some jokes about the teams that were, the usual cringe jokes, in my opinion. Match was fine. It was a decent SmackDown match. Grand Metalik attempted this dive onto Sheamus, and he kind of crashed and burned. It looked worse for him than it did Sheamus. Or not Sheamus, Cesaro. Why do I have Sheamus on the brain here? Because I'm thinking of the bar. I missed the bar. It was Cesaro that he crashed into on the outside. Nakamura did an inverted exploder to Lince Dorado, and then Cesaro tagged back in, and he ended up pinning Lince. So still your tag team champions, Cesaro, Shinsuke Nakamura, and Cesaro. And after the match, Lucha House Party teased dissension. You had the return of Kalisto last week, and already the Lucha House Party are having issues. Kalisto and Lince were having words, and Grand Metalik tried to separate them. Yeah, I really don't care about this breakup if that's where it's going. Just have no interest. Don't know who's going to be the heel, but hard for me to really care about a Lucha House Party breakup. Mega Powers exploding, this is not. We had Mandy Rose cut a backstage promo, and she said she wants to believe there's good in the world. She said she wants to speak directly to Sonya Deville. She wants Sonya to know that she wants to work things out between the two of them. She wants to bury the hatchet. She doesn't want to go through with this hair match. We then had Sasha and Bayley come out and piped in boos for Sasha Banks. Very noticeable piped in boos. And Charles Coleman with a $5 super chat says, Sonya Deville needs to be the top woman in WWE. I like her whole swag. We'll talk about Sonya Deville here in a few minutes. As much as I would like her to be the top woman in WWE, might not happen in the near future, but we'll get to that shortly. Corey Graves interviewed Sasha and Bayley, and basically Corey was trying to stir the pot and get them to turn on each other, asked if they were splitting up. They reiterated what they already said before, that nobody can beat both of them in one night. Naomi then came out and said she wants to face both of them in one night. Challenge was accepted, and then again Corey Graves, to try and tease some dissension and try to stir the pot here, suggested a beat the clock match. which was accepted by all parties. Naomi drop-kicked both Sasha and Bayley, and then after the break, we had our first match of the evening, Naomi versus Sasha Banks, or our first match of the Beat the Clock, excuse me, not the first match of the evening. I swallow cum. That was really funny. And now I'm not reading your comment, but thank you for the super chat. Now this guy could be banned. But that was funny. You got me on the username. Nicely played. I swallow cum. I'll just say it. No, not true though, but hey, some people like to do it. It's all good. We had Sasha Banks pick up the victory in 3:39 with the Banks statement via submission to Naomi. I could see Naomi fans on social media freaking out over this. But then, luckily for them, there was a happy ending here for Naomi. Naomi fought Bayley in the second match and pinned her in 1 minute and 44 seconds with the rear view. So yes, the Smackdown Women's Champion, Bayley, got beat again after losing to Kairi Sane, losing to Shayna Baszler, losing to Asuka. Now she loses to Naomi in 1 minute and 44 seconds after Naomi lost to Sasha Banks. Wow. I'm almost at a loss for words with this. Like, what kind of booking is this to make Bayley look like any kind of a credible champion? Yeah. But on the plus side, Naomi wins. So now Twitter can shut up finally. People that were complaining about Naomi deserving better, well, she beat the SmackDown Women's Champion in 1 minute and 44 seconds. So pipe down, pipsqueaks. Although the funny thing is this win will probably mean nothing and Naomi will go back to catering next week. So yeah. After the match, we had Asuka come out and she started gloating about what happened. Can Asuka even technically appear? I guess because she's challenging for the SmackDown Women's Championship. She gloated about what happened and said at SummerSlam she's going to be the empress of every title. And then she ran down and kicked Sasha, got in the ring, kicked Bayley. Bayley managed to grab her championship and flee the scene. And by the way, I have nothing against Naomi. I argued a while back Naomi should have gotten a big push. They should have gone all the way with the Glow Championship, sold a ton of merchandise, and made her a long-term champion. Go back and watch the streams. I was very supportive of her being pushed. I'm just saying they've kind of dropped the ball with her, and I don't expect them to take this moment and build momentum with her. They should, but I don't think they're going to. So just wanted to clear that up for people that think I'm just trying to say she doesn't deserve the push. I think she does. I just find it funny when there's so many people that are not being utilized that don't get the hashtag. It's just like everyone on Twitter. Every time somebody loses a match, people are like, oh, this is terrible. Why are you not pushing this guy? And not everybody can be pushed. That's one thing. The other thing is sometimes there are people that deserve to get pushed that don't. We had the doctor backstage clearing Jeff Hardy for the match with AJ Styles despite the attack. Jeff was limping, but the doctor felt like he was decent enough to do the match. So there you go. It was set for later. We had Dana Brooke backstage, and she was talking to Sonya Deville. She said she's sorry about what Sonya went through last week, which I'm guessing was a reference to the attempted kidnapping, but it was not actually said on television. Dana said there's nothing that Sonya can't handle, or actually, that was Sonya that said that, not Dana. Sonya said there's nothing she cannot handle and then slapped Dana Brooke really hard in the face. And then Sonya went out to the stage and cut a promo, piped boos again for her. She said she wanted to up the ante for SummerSlam. She said that she wants this match to now be a no DQ match. I like it, no DQ match. But here's where it got really interesting. She said the loser will have to leave WWE. She is sick of looking at Mandy Rose's face, and she said, "Bring your A game, bitch." I'm officially changing my prediction. I mentioned this to Noah Foster. We did our predictions for SummerSlam. I went with a bold prediction and went with Sonya Deville, but now I think Mandy Rose is winning. This came off to me like Sonya Deville in real life wants to take a break from wrestling, and I cannot blame her at all. I think she is very, very deserving to have some time off after the circumstances of the past week. I think she's just going to lay low for a while, you know, with this whole legal situation with the suspect and the attempted kidnapping. I feel like Mandy's going to win. Sonya will leave for a while, and then whenever she's ready to come back, she'll reemerge, whether it's on Smackdown or Raw. But that was my gut feeling here when this new stipulation was announced with the loser leaves WWE. There's a $5 super chat here from Josh Mansfield. He says, TIWC is the reason why it can be really hard to enjoy wrestling besides Vince. We need Triple H to call out the marks again on TV to shut them out, to shut them up. I was needing to think for a second, what is TIWC, the Internet Wrestling Community? So I got it. Usually people say IWC, but the TIWC was something different for me. Psycho Jet Black with a $5 super chat. Thank you for that, Psycho. He says, does this remind you of Michelle McCool versus Layla, which was also a loser leaves WWE match, even though it was originally a loser leaves SmackDown match? No, because I don't even remember that, to be totally honest with you. Like, just, I have no memory of that whole storyline with Michelle McCool and Layla. I'm just going to say it. I was not that much into Lay Cool. Like, it was change the channel material for me personally. But because Michelle McCool is married to The Undertaker, she's one of the pioneers of the women's revolution, which I would disagree on that one. I just wasn't a big fan. Josh Mansfield is shocked by this. He says, "You're kidding, Aaron." I mean, they did nothing for me. I'll just say that. We had Nikki Cross cut a little backstage promo talking about how Alexa Bliss has been off, and I guess we'll see where this goes with them. No other segment with Alexa Bliss or mentioning of Alexa Bliss other than the end of the show with the Firefly Funhouse. Maybe we'll have an update on that at SummerSlam. I will say this, Psycho Jet Black, I agree with you. The Bella Twins were more entertaining than Lay Cool. So there you go. I'm going to get heat for that one, but hey, my stream, my opinion. We had the Intercontinental Championship match between AJ Styles and Jeff Hardy. Daniel Bryan did a little Zoom or FaceTime promo hyping up the match. Caitlyn shows up with the first comment I've seen from her in this stream. She says, "I'll back that comment." Of course she would. Jeff Hardy limped to the ring. He was wearing a knee brace. They did the introductions. There was piped cheers for Jeff, piped boos for AJ. Styles, of course, went after the knee, and Jeff Hardy attempted to go to the top rope, but his knee gave out on him, and Styles put on the calf crusher, but Jeff managed to get to the ropes, and then Hardy managed to counter AJ Styles using his knee brace. His knee brace connected with AJ's face, and I guess this was not considered a DQ. I guess it was considered to be an accident. The referee saw it, but did not stop the match or call for the bell. I guess because it was considered to be an accident, it counts. It's not a foreign object if you did not intend to use it on your opponent. AJ was knocked down from the knee brace shot. Hardy hit the twist of fate and then hit the swanton bomb. 1, 2, 3. New Intercontinental Champion, Jeff Hardy. I forgot how many titles it's been now. I'm not Greg Cherry, so I don't know off the top of my head. It's a lot. Somebody in the chat room could maybe throw that number at me. I'm a little surprised to see Jeff Hardy win the title here. I guess it was a way to make AJ look strong in defeat because of the knee brace, but did we really need a title change this quickly? Like, the title has already been hot potatoing over the past year or so. And I think after making it vacant and then doing a tournament, this was way too soon for a title change, in my opinion. So I'm not a fan of that, but happy for Jeff, you know. Gives him a little bit of momentum now. Feel good story. A couple of people in the chat room said 6, although Darren Frazier says it's 5th time. What does Wikipedia say? Because if it's on Wikipedia, it must be true. Clayton also said 5 times. After the match, Kayla Braxton interviewed Jeff Hardy, and he said he didn't think it would happen a year ago when he was in a dark place, and he started talking a little bit more about winning the title, and then his music hit, and that was basically the end of his promo. Why? I get the show was live and all, but it just takes away from the moment when he cannot even have a lengthy promo. Like, you cut him off. He just won the IC title. This is supposed to be a big deal, and you cut him off with the music playing like this is nothing. We got to move on here. Show must continue. It's live, pal. So yeah, that was a little bit of a letdown. Kind of ruined the moment for me personally. Josh Mansfield with a $2 super chat says, AJ should have lost to Hardy or Riddle at SummerSlam. I think AJ should have held on to the title for at least a couple more months, coming off of a tournament to crown a new champion. DJW with a $5 super chat. Thank you for that, DJ. He says, debut of a new arena, had to do something big, I guess. Yeah, that very well could be the case. You know, maybe WWE felt like for the first show of this new era, the new era of WWE, there had to be a memorable moment like a title change. Very well could have been the case. And as Darren Frazier points out, maybe they were trying to pop a rating. That too. Hot shot the tag team titles, and well, they didn't do that, but IC title at least. I mean, they've changed the tag titles around too much also. I'm glad Lucha House Party did not win it, because then I would just be done. If Lucha House Party won the tag titles, I would have just signed off. Backstage, AJ Styles was yelling at Joseph Park. Yes, we got Joseph Park on the show again. I almost want to give a letter grade up for Joseph Park. I wish he was at ringside. That would have been cool to see him as AJ's manager, but he was backstage and AJ yelled at him saying he paid Joseph Park all this money for nothing. And AJ talked about how Hardy cheated, yada, yada, yada. And as somebody else mentioned in the chat room earlier, yes, Joseph Park very much has a resemblance to Penn Jillette of Penn and Teller. I thought that way back when Joseph Park became a TV character in Impact with the glasses and the suit and, you know, similar height. We ended the show with a Firefly Funhouse segment. Bray Wyatt said he loves everyone, but love can trick you. He then had a little segment called the Firefly Funhouse Theater, featuring Husky the Pig and the Rambling Rabbit. The Rabbit was playing the role of Alexa Bliss, and Husky the Pig was Strowman. But Wyatt stepped in. He yelled cut on the scene. He said they were not reenacting the Strowman-Alexa Bliss drama correctly. Bray continued with his monologue. He said that love can only lead to more pain and suffering. And all we can do is be more like him. All of a sudden, Braun Strowman showed up, attacked Bray Wyatt in the funhouse, and then yelled his old catchphrase, "I'm not finished with you," and dragged him away. We had a commercial break. Oh, and by the way, Husky the Pig had the Get These Hooves shirt on. That was kind of funny. Vince Out of Touch McMahon. Haven't seen you in a while. He says, "Stop criticizing my product." I miss you, Vince Out of Touch McMahon. You haven't been in here in a while. At least to my knowledge. Maybe I just haven't been paying attention. After the commercial break, the fight continued between Strowman and Wyatt. Officials tried to break them up. Strowman had Wyatt on the edge of this platform and then went for a chokeslam, but basically just shoved Wyatt off the platform onto the cement. We didn't see the fall, which means Wyatt landed on a crash pad, and he was dropped about 3 feet maybe, but this was enough to render him unconscious. The officials were there. People were very upset. Adam Pearce was freaking out. An ambulance arrived. For some reason, the camera was shaking all over the place. I hate the camera work like this with the shakiness constantly. Bray was loaded up on a stretcher, put in the ambulance, and the ambulance started to drive away, but then it began backing up. Adam Pearce freaked out again, said, "You're going the wrong way." And then all of a sudden, the Fiend popped out of the ambulance. The ambulance was red inside. Smoke was coming out. He stuck out his tongue, and that was the end of SmackDown. Final segment I thought was very cheesy and comically bad. I think it could have been performed much better, in my opinion. Just really goofy, in my opinion. Show overall was decent. Brian Spencer with a $2 super chat says, "Does Braun stink? He smelled like presents." Well, I've never been by Braun Strowman in person, so I could not tell you that. You'd have to ask somebody that's done one of those access sessions with him. The Game is on 100 with a $5 super chat. Says, WWE put Strowman and Fiend in a corner with their match. It will kill Strowman. New level heel turn with an L. Otis needs to cash in Money in the Bank to eat the loss from Fiend. Well, we did talk about that on the predictions video. You guys can still check it out. It's up on the No DQ YouTube channel. And I would not mind seeing Otis in there in a triple threat. Like, I just don't know where you go with either guy if they take a loss without some kind of shenanigans. Maybe Alexa Bliss does something. That's certainly a possibility. So, yeah, I thought SmackDown was all right. The whole nature of the new setting made it more interesting than usual. But I still don't think it was a great show by any means. And I do think WWE could benefit by tweaking some stuff with the ThunderDome. Maybe dim the audience members a little bit on the LED screens. Maybe bring back the PC trainees for some authentic reactions. I'm going to give it a B-. B-, pretty good SmackDown, but I wouldn't say it was a home run or anything. And as far as the go-home show goes, it was not bad. Josh Mansfield with a $2 super chat says, now that AJ is not the champion, he should get Otis's Money in the Bank. Yeah, you could do that. I mean, Otis has been such a bust, and maybe you don't want to have somebody fail again. So do the Mr. Kennedy angle where Otis puts the briefcase on the line and loses it. I would be okay with that at this point. Let's see. Kev gives it a B-. CC Drink with a B. Wonka TV with a B-. Dr. NXT Scorpio with a C+. Michael with an A+. Mike B with a B-. Zach Myers with a B+. John with a solid C+. And JSpin401 with a C. Amanda gives it an A. And Calvin Bowman with a B+. And I Eat Cum gives it an F-. Oh, wait. He was banned. Ken Terminated by DQ with a $5 super chat says, did anyone predict that Alexa Bliss will turn on Bray Wyatt to hug Strowman to recreate a feel-good story? WWE loves doing those. I'm not sure if anybody predicted that. I think people were predicting a heel turn from Alexa, but if Strowman is going heel, which it certainly seems like the direction, maybe Alexa and Wyatt, or Alexa and Strowman, I should say, reunite, but as heels. And Alexa joins up with Strowman, and that's how Strowman retains his championship against The Fiend. Psycho Jet Black with a $2 super chat. Thank you, Psycho. He says, the leader of Retribution is either AJ Styles or Otis. Otis would really surprise me. That one I think is highly unlikely in all likelihood. AJ Styles, probably not. I hate to say it, like, if I was working in WWE, I would almost be scared of being in the storyline as the leader of the group because the group is probably going to flop. And do you really want to damage your career by being part of this crappy storyline? DJW with a $5 super chat. Thank you, DJ. Says, your thoughts on Renee Young quitting the company? She deserved much better than WWE was giving her since the pandemic. They will regret letting her walk. I did mention this with the boys on the NXT TakeOver prediction stream from last night, so you guys could check that out if you want my full thoughts. But real quick, I'm a little surprised, but not really. Like I said on the stream, I think the writing was on the wall when Jon Moxley left. I think she probably was going to follow her husband out of the company at some point. I think the WWE Backstage deal maybe kept her around a little bit longer. It kept her busy, kept her motivated. But now she's got other things. She's got a cookbook. She could go to AEW. She can get work with ESPN or Fox. I'm sure she will have no trouble being employed by somebody. And yeah, it kind of sucks with the whole pandemic and her getting COVID. And that was very unfortunate. So I wish her the best. I definitely think she will succeed at whatever she does. Darren Frazier with a $5 super chat. Thank you, Darren. Says, what if one of the Retribution members interferes in the main event of SummerSlam and performs the GTS to make people think it's CM Punk? Well, I think that's a terrible idea unless it's actually going to be CM Punk in the group. I still think it's a possibility we see all of the Retribution members crash the main event, and that sets up something like Strowman and Wyatt versus Retribution. And we kind of got a tease of that on Smackdown. So maybe that'll happen, maybe not. But anything's possible. One positive is that there's so many different ways this can go. The SummerSlam match, Strowman and The Fiend, hard to predict. There's a lot of ways it could go down. Could Alexa Bliss show up? Could Otis show up and cash in Money in the Bank? Could Retribution interfere? Maybe none of it happens. Maybe there's just a straight match with a clean finish. I mean, there's no real clear outcome of this. There's so many different ways it can go. And that's a good thing. When it's hard to predict, that makes you intrigued to tune in and see what happens. Psycho Jet Black says the leader of Retribution is Bart Gunn. As bad as that would be, I'd pop for it. Anyways, guys, that's all I got for tonight. I will be back for the post-NXT TakeOver live stream with my thoughts on TakeOver, and I'll probably talk about Dynamite as well. I'm going to at least watch the first hour of Dynamite. I'll try to catch some of the second hour if I can during the video packages and whatnot on NXT, but the focus will be NXT. So stay tuned for that. Sunday night, SummerSlam recap. Pretty much there's going to be a live stream every night. Subscribe to the YouTube channel if you haven't already, and tell a friend. I need your guys' help. Spread the word. Word of mouth goes a long way. You guys help keep the channel going strong, and you can make it stronger by sharing a link to this video and telling a friend. No DQ Street Team. You guys are great. I appreciate your viewership and support. Take care, everybody, and I will see you all next time.